tonight. Bobby Ramos is a retired 27-year. He is known to be the most decorated and honored officer with 10 medals and received many awards and recognition around the state. Beyond his career, Bobby is also an alumnus to Southern, a first-generation student that took an unconventional path to academia and later earned a master's in sociology in 2022. Bobby is a dedicated advocate in many communities. He is a dynamic radio personnel, a speaker, and his voice speaks volumes, literally. With so much life experience and impact, his journey and success is not limited to what I am briefly sharing with you. So without further ado, I'd like to present to you and to everyone, Bobby Ramos.
How's everybody doing today? Can you hear me?
Yes.
I know I sound a little bit like Urkel, but I'm trying to get through it. Thank you, Dawn Stanton, Director of UAP, and my newest buddies, Nyasia and Sasha. Where'd you go? Where'd you disappear, Trips? Helping me through my shyness. Hi, Sasha. Helping me through all my shyness, and yes, I am. Anyway, to the graduates, your family, your loved ones, and we got a cleanup hitter. I'm big into sports. We got a cleanup hitter today. You're going to hear Dr. Diane Ariza, VP of Vice President, of Diversity and Equity Programs. She's going to be closing the show. Being the Reggie Jackson, she's going to close the show for us. It's an honor to be here with you tonight. I'm very grateful to Southern for having me have the privilege of being your keynote speaker this evening. Let me explain why I'm honored to be here this evening. I'm just like you. Y'all are seniors. I'm a senior citizen. But really, I got to get a little bit into my background. I was told I'm a 27-year police officer. I decided to keep my word to my late mother and 4'11" Dynamo. I said, let me go back, after being a cop all these years, let me go back and get my little associates, get my little 60 credits. I come up to Southern, find out I had like 118 credits and didn't even know it. And so I ended up taking 24 classes in 2 years to get to master's. And it was a journey. It was a journey and a half. But I'm proud to say that I got my degrees from here at Southern. I'm really happy and proud because this school is built on social awareness and social activism, because I did a little bit of that in my day. And I want to talk to you tonight about overcoming adversity and responsibility, because y'all got some stuff to do once you get out of here. Y'all ain't finished. Remember this quote by Albert Einstein: adversity introduces a person to themselves. Adversity introduces a person to themselves. Because you're going to run into it. Trust me, you're going to run into it. My adversity was that I stuttered. I had a severe stuttering problem. My stuttering problem was so bad, when I went to school, like everybody would read a paragraph, the teachers used to skip me because it was embarrassing because I stuttered so badly. I couldn't answer the phone. The phone would ring, and I'd always run the opposite direction because I couldn't say hello. I'd pick up the phone, and I'd be like, don't laugh, I'm sensitive. That wasn't funny. That hurt me. But anyway, yes, I couldn't answer the phone, so the phone would ring. I'd run in the opposite direction. My father was a carpenter. One day the phone rang. I did what I always do. I run away, went outside. He's outside fixing his truck. He said, boy, go in the house and answer the phone. I go in the house and answer the phone, come back out. He said, who was it? I said, Dad, I don't know. They hung up on me. He said, if people don't want to call my house, and hear my son stutter, they don't have to call my damn house anymore. Now go get the toolkit. That was a big deal for a young boy. You know, it didn't stop my stuttering, but it made me feel that my father was saying one day it's going to be okay. You know, so I learned to slow it down as my voice got deeper. I learned to blow. I could tell when I'm going to hit a word, which I just did. And I usually change the word real quick, or I get some extra air in my lungs, and I blow right through it. So my point is, you can't have an excuse for anything. Because I was not, you see in some of these pictures, I was not supposed to be interviewing and talking to Muhammad Ali and Mike Tyson and LeBron and Jordan, who's a knucklehead, and Jordan and people like that. I wasn't supposed to be talking to them and Jim Brown. I interviewed Jim Brown on stage for 3.5 hours. I couldn't answer the phone. So I'm not supposed to be doing radio and television and being a swap negotiator. I couldn't answer the phone. So all this stuff that I can't do this or I can't do that because I don't have this, I don't have that, means nothing. It's not about where you end up, it's about your journey. It's about your journey. So just always keep that in mind. My cousin passed away years ago when I was a kid. She was very eclectic. She got into everything. And she told me, and I'll never forget, I said at her funeral, she said, "Bobby, I know you're so quiet." I was like 12 at that time, or 13. And she goes, one day, she said, "I know you're quiet because you're stuttering, but one day, thousands of people are going to listen to you." And boy, was she right. Boy, was she right, between radio and television. My mother, man, Diva Doris is what I call it, 4'11" dynamo, as I said. Very regal, very regal. And I'm a smart behind. So I'm doing some dishes. My mother lived with us the last 12 years of her life. And she comes home from church, dressed to the nine, and I'm doing some dishes. She comes up, get a glass, and I said, "Mom, why'd you go to church in sneakers?" And she didn't have no sneakers on. She had a little pumps on. She was dressed to the nine. And she looked, nobody can cut you like your mom. She looked at me and she said, "Boy, I liked you a lot better when you started. You didn't talk so damn much." Nobody can kiss you like your mom. She liked it better when I started. But that's why tonight I wore green. Because green was her favorite color. And she always said, green is the color of life. You know, plants and flowers and everything. Green is the color of life. So that's why I decided to wear green tonight, because it's all about your lives and your future. You heard me talk about responsibility. And I say this because, listen, as you go through life, you're going to change it. You change your hairstyle every other day. You change your clothes every day. You get different attitudes, different demeanors every day, whatever. The one thing that'll never change is your family name, the legacy of your family name. That's the one thing that will never, ever change. And as you continue your journey, you don't ever, ever want to diminish your family name. Ever. That's part of your family's legacy. Just like you folks being here and what you're going to do in the future is part of your family's legacy. All right? So like those times when you maybe getting ready to do something, you know I shouldn't be doing it, maybe I shouldn't do this. Take 10 seconds, that's all I'm asking. Take 10 seconds and think about somebody in your life. I don't care if it's your mother, your father, your grandparents, aunt, uncle, whoever cared about your behind, somebody who took care of you. Think about them for 10 seconds and say, would they want me to do this? Trust me, if you do that, you're going to end up doing the right thing all the time. Because, we growing up, we do knucklehead things without thinking. But the people who cared about us, who took care of us, they're the ones that steered you right all the time. So try to keep that in mind. Think of that one person. The other thing I wanted to get into, like Dr. Stan said, a lot of you, the first people in your family to get a degree. I know I was. I know that I was. So that also is a part of your family legacy. And all your younger brothers and sisters and nephews and nieces are looking up to you. They're watching what you do, on top of stealing your clothes. They're watching what you do, and they want to do what you did. So you're role models now. You've been role models. You've been role models. You may not always see it, and you get mad because they're stealing your stuff, but you're their role models. You have an obligation to them. Also, you have a historic figure. Yeah, I got all this stuff up here. Listen, can you stand up for a minute? This is history right here. This is Ted Meekins, my mentor and best friend. Bridgeport cop for 30 years. He's in the Black Police Hall of Fame. Okay? He is the founding father of the Bridgeport Guardians, the union for black officers. And he fought Bridgeport, made them hire people of color and females. And also, by the way, won a $6 million judgment forcing the city for years. They had a special taskmaster because of what he did. So what you're going to hear I did in Stratford, this was who I followed right here. Mr. Ted Meekins, thank you. As she said, I'm a 27-year cop, all that stuff. Medals from the state, that's good, all that. What was the biggest deal to me was where I worked. Didn't hire any women or people of color for 10 years. 10 years. I'm from Bridgeport. I had a press conference at Howard Johnson's and went public. And went real public. I became Bobby X, but the community loved me. But within the department, I was Bobby X. And that was okay, because I ended up winning without even going to court. And they ended up hiring women and people of color. So, but that was because I followed the model of Ted Meekins. So, understand this too. I didn't, because people ask me, cops who came out of the job, why did I do what I did? I didn't put my life, because I went through death threats, I got shot at because of that, not because of some criminal stuff, me chasing somebody, because I took that stance. I didn't put my life and job on the line for me, because I already had a job. I had a job with benefits. So it wasn't about me. I did what I did so people who look like everybody in this room would get an opportunity to be a cop or a fireman in that city or any job that they wanted to. So, I just want you folks to keep that in mind, because I have some expectations of you that I'm going to get into. And just all on my way. Anyway, I know you did this on purpose. Again, this is about your lives and your futures. Your seniors, your parents, your family sacrifice. Now it's time for you to step into the world and show some leadership to change the world and make it a better place. The world's a mess right now. We know that. The world's a mess. We need you. We need you, young folks. Late, great civil rights leader and companion of Dr. King, okay? John Lewis said, and I quote, "You must lead. You're never too young to lead. We need your leadership now more than ever before." There's an old African proverb that the youth cannot teach tradition to the old, which is true. But the youth can lead. The youth can lead. When you look at all the civil rights movements of the 60s and all the stuff that went through, a lot of times it was young people who generated the change, and iconic leaders like Martin Luther King and other people. It was the young folks who brought the change. Okay? And Dr. King admitted that down the road. He was boys with Stokely Carmichael. For you young folks who don't know, look him up. Stokely Carmichael is the brother who coined that term Black Power. This cat was fire. He was fire. As great as Dr. King was as a speaker, a lot of people say, if you watch him, Stokely was even better on the stump than Dr. King. A lot of folks don't know. They had dinner at Dr. King's house twice, 2 Sundays out of the month. They changed each other's lives. The last year of Dr. King's life, if you look at his readings and listen to what he was saying, he got a lot more radical. He sounded like James Brown. Say it loud, I'm black and I'm proud. He wasn't like that before. But that was the influence of Stokely Carmichael, who was a real hard brother, who was just raw with his. On the flip side, Stokely Carmichael softened up because of his dealings with Dr. King, would go to his services, and he backed off a lot of the rhetoric. He was still hard with it, but he had a balance. They balanced each other, and that's what I'm talking about. Young people can do that. Those are key figures in history. I want you to keep your voice. Find your voice and keep your voice. Do not let people drown out your voice. Because it's going to happen. It's going to happen. It happened to me. It happened to Tay. You just keep it moving. Because you're here. This is a social activism school. You're here for the greater good also. You feel what I'm saying? This graduating class, this is a big moment in your life. You all worked hard to get to this point. You went through ups and downs, ins and outs, late nights, early evenings, deadlines, COVID, and everything else that's been thrown at you for these last few years. But as they say, what doesn't kill you will make you stronger. I know that my 2-year experience, it was different. Because realize, me being full-time, to come into Southern full-time, it was like a 40-year gap. I'm a little bit busy. It was a 40-year gap. That's funny. When I went to school, I was sitting next to Fred Flintstone with a number 2 pencil on a lunchbox. And then I come here and I gotta learn about Blackboard. I knew the Blackboard had chalk and an eraser on it. Blackboard, I knew. It took me 2 weeks to learn how to navigate, turning that bad boy on and off. It's a whole different world. But, I got through it. And I'd be remiss if I failed to mention a professor here, Dr. Gregory Adams. And this cat, we talked off class several times. And we had a lot of deep conversations. And he taught me that not everything that I learned here was going to be in a syllabus. So just keep that in mind. Keep your relationship with your professors open for yourself. There's a lot that you're going to learn in life. And as you embark upon this thing called life, yes, I brought a little Prince in there, y'all didn't hear me. But anyway, here's your call to action. Think about what Kendrick Lamar said. Yeah, the sun is going to go down, but I'm trying to make you higher. I'm trying to take you higher. Check out Frederick Douglass, runaway slave, who became the #1 abolitionist, writer, author, 3 autobiographies. Him and his wife freed over 400 slaves through the Underground Railroad. Once again, overcame his challenges, him being a slave and not knowing how to read. He did all this. So there's nothing that's going to stop you from doing what you want. In 1895, 3 weeks before he passed away, he was asked, what do you have to say to younger black people? And he said, agitate, agitate, agitate. Close quote. If you don't stand for something, you're going to fall for anything. As Dr. King said, silence is betrayal. The moral to those stories is there's strength in learning from others that's powerful. Never give up listening to people and talking with people. That's just really key. Last thing I want to get into, as you guys and ladies go along, when Dr. King said silence is betrayal, he's talking about when you see inequities, you speak up about it. Don't watch somebody get trampled on or get abused and not say something about it. That's what silence is betrayal about. We are our brother's keepers. We are that. You're the future. Your brothers, your sisters, nephews, nieces, as I said, little neighbors. It's not enough to be present. You have to have presence. You have to have presence. Make your presence known. Appreciate, graduate, agitate, and stimulate. That's what I expect you folks to do. Can you get that picture of Belafonte? Oh, y'all just showing off. The older people know Mr. B, Harry Belafonte, great actor, activist. He was the money man for Dr. King. I'll have to tell you guys that another time. But he had rent parties at his house in LA with all these famous people, and he would funnel the money to Dr. King. How do you think Dr. King got all these people around the country paying for hotels and food and stuff? He didn't have money. It was Harry B. I gotta tell you this story. Midway through the civil rights period, Dr. King knew that there were problems. And he said, Belafonte said, I remember the last time we were together at my home, shortly before he was murdered. He seemed quite agitated and preoccupied. I asked him what the problem was. He responded, I've come upon something that disturbs me deeply. We fought hard and long for integration, as I believe we should have. I know we'll win, but I have to come to believe we're integrating into a burning house. I'm afraid that America has lost what it says that it wants to be. Now, Belafonte was shocked that Dr. King would say this. And he said to him, what are we supposed to do? And Dr. King said, become firemen. We can't stand and watch our house burn. That's what I'm telling you people as you go out into the world. You can't stand and let this house burn. You have to get your jobs, take care of your family, make your money, but you have to make an impact. That's why you came here. You have to make an impact. As Jay-Z said, I'm not afraid of dying, I'm afraid of trying. Okay? Do your thing for others. Do you walk with passion, compassion, and purpose. The question is not who will let me. The question is who's going to stop me. Make your expectations a reality. Congratulations to you and your families, and God bless you all. I'm Bobby Reynolds. All the doors, David Moore. Thank you. Thank you for having me. Go forth, honor your ancestors, inspire us all, and as Muhammad Ali said, shake up the world. I believe in you and I love you. Wakanda.
We did it again, Lil Bobby. Papa loves you, son.